Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you how I made this rose-shaped 3D mandala string art which I saw online, and I was so intrigued by it that I scavenged through the internet trying to figure out how to make one myself and stumbled upon a channel named String Art Workshop. Out of the numerous videos I saw, his channel was the most clear one. Please check out his work, it is amazing. I'm sure you will fall in love with his work. He has done a lot of thread art, or if you're looking for more ideas on string art in general, then please go check his work. I will leave a link to his channel in the description box below. But before that, let's see how I made this piece and what was my take on it. So without further ado, let's start creating. I started off by making my design on this piece of plywood which I got from trash, which of course I cleaned first before using, and painted it all in black acrylic latex paint. The size of my board is 32 by 32 inches. To make my first square, I'm leaving a gap of 1 inch from all the sides and will make my biggest outer square. Once I have my square, which is a square number 1, I'm measuring and making a mark at every half inch. Next, find the center of all the sides of square 1 and join them to make your square number 2. Again, make your markings at every half inch on square 2. Find the center of square 2 and join them to make your square number 3, and proceed with marking every half inch. Continue with the earlier steps till you feel that you have got enough number of squares. For my size of the board, I have made a total of 7 squares. Now we will start nailing on all of our markings that we made before. For nailing, I have used these half-inch finish nails, but the size of the nails will also depend on the thickness of your plywood that you're using. So while choosing the nails, you don't want something which is too long or too short, as we are not nailing all the way into the board. I used this kind of a jig that helped me initially to determine how much length I want my nail to stick out. I think mine was a bit more than half an inch that was sticking out. Try to nail them all straight and make sure that all of them are all uniformly sticking out. This was a task for me as a beginner, and I kinda neglected this fact thinking that it will not affect the look of my whole project, but trust me, it did, as in if you look really closely, you can see that it is not uniform. But anyways, as a first timer, I'm still learning and just decided to roll with what I had. Now before I show you the actual thread work, I'm going to describe the process by using the help of a schematic. Imagine this as my piece of board, and this is the square that we are working on. Now while working with a thread, you will always use 2 continuous sides of a square at a time. So imagine that A and B are the 2 continuous sides of the square, and A1, A2, B1, B2, etc. are the nails on these 2 squares. So to begin the string work, you start by tying a tight knot on nail A1 and take it around nail B1, and instead of going back at A1, you take your thread and go around A2, and from there to B2. From B2 go around A3, and then from A3 go to B3, and so on and so forth till you reach the last nail of your complete square. As you keep connecting the nails with the thread, you will begin to see this curve forming. I am not sure if this helped in explaining the process or not, but this is the best way that I could imagine to explain the process. If you have any questions about the process, then please leave them in the comment section below, and I will try my best to help you out. Also, before starting the thread work, I have repainted my board and nails black to remove all the markings. Now starting off with the actual doing part of the job. I'm starting off with square number 7, which is the innermost square, and I'm using these crochet threads in number 10, which are in shades burgundy and poppy red. I didn't really know which threads to use, so I just worked with crochet threads. I'm starting by tying a tight knot on one of the corner nails and continue to go around the nails along the square as I had previously shown in the schematics. Please leave a bit of a thread in the beginning when you're tying the initial knot, as this end will help us in tying the loose end once we have finished with this square. I DIY'd this kind of a pen for working around with the thread. Let me know if you want to learn how to make this pen. It's pretty handy and makes working with strings so much easy. To be honest, I was completely terrible in the first 2 squares at least, as I was still figuring out how to do without messing it up. The first 2 squares did not come out quite perfect, but it got covered with the outer layers of the thread, so my mistakes are not really visible. Try to keep the thread as taut or stretched as possible, and don't worry if you mess the loop, as it's not going to open all at once. Just go back to the loop where you messed and continue looping again. The friction between the nail and thread is sufficient enough to hold the rest of the loops for some time till you get your mistakes corrected. When I reached to the end of the square 1, I wrapped the thread around the first nail where we had tied the knot initially and used the leftover thread from the first knot to complete the final knot for this square 1. To seal this knot, I'm using a droplet of super glue. This will also make sure that our loops don't sag after some time. Cut the end of the knot as cleanly and closely as possible by either using a small precision scissor or by using an X-Acto knife, and that finishes our first square. Moving on to the next outer square, that is square number 6, again tie a tight knot, leaving some extra thread at the corner nail, and move on to finish the whole square. Again, keep going around the entire square in the same manner as I showed in the schematic. Don't worry, once you have done like 2 to 3 squares, you will start getting the hang of the whole process. On reaching the end of the square, tie around the same nail from where you started, and by using the leftover end of your thread, tie the knot. Secure it again with some super glue and cut the rest of the thread. Continue these steps for all the rest of the squares. Personally speaking, the inner 2 squares were way more difficult to do because the nails were closer and there was not enough room to get the thread around. But as you move to the outer squares, things become way more easy and quicker. Also, this might look like a painstaking process, but I felt that nailing was way more time consuming, as for this size of a board I have used some 800 to 850 nails. If anything, working with thread was way more relaxing and therapeutic. That is, of course, if you know how and what to do. I failed around 6 to 7 times before I made my first decent looking square, but once I figured out my way around it, it became pretty easy. So long story short, please do not be scared of this project thinking that it is too complicated or confusing. For making the last square, I have used a crochet thread in the color Currant in the size 10, as I ran out of the burgundy color thread which I had been using all along and couldn't find the exact color in the store. But this color was the closest match and it kinda worked for me. And that's it, your rose-shaped 3D mandala thread art is completed. The total cost of my project was $13.99, where I paid for the black paint, thread and nail, while on Etsy, this kind of a thread work is sold for $300 to $800. Also, you can just paint your board once you have made your markings and use the nails to create your pattern so that you do not have to paint twice. You can of course use this piece to decorate over your mantle, your hallway or any of that open wall where you feel requires a statement piece. And of course, please let me know if you have any questions, doubts or feedback on how I could have done this whole thing better, or simply share your views in the comment section below. I would be more than happy to give you my suggestions and help to create your own piece. And if you like my maiden attempt at string art, then please show your love by hitting that like button, and if you want to be a part of this unusual journey, then please share and subscribe to my channel and click the bell for notifications. Finally, a huge shout out once again to String Art Workshop for his amazing idea, and do check his channel from the description box below. Thank you so much for joining me. I will talk to you soon with another DIY. Till then, please take care and stay safe.